following program is from NET, the National Educational Television Network.
Good evening, Jambo. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. This is Black Journal with William Greaves. I'm Lou House, and excuse the shades, cold on the eye tonight. And now here's William Greaves with People in the News.
Jim Brown, the former Cleveland Browns fullback, came to Harlem as president of the Negro Industrial Economic Union, a nonprofit organization to assist in the development of black-owned businesses. To Brown, black power is synonymous with economic power. Said Mr. Brown, let's utilize the techniques that have been used by every other ethnic group in this country to achieve the American dream. While on tour in Guinea, Miriam Makeba gave an electrifying 2-hour performance to an audience which included her husband, Stokely Carmichael, Guinea President Sekou Touré, and author Shirley Graham, the widow of the late Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. Those who have long been fans of Miss Makeba said this was her greatest performance. The coronation of Maxine Thomas as the Black Homecoming Queen highlighted Iowa University's homecoming activities in Iowa City. School officials ruled that black co-eds could not enter the university's contest. The reasons given were that the black co-eds either lived off campus or had no sponsor. As a result, the Afro-American Students Association initiated its own contest in Queen. Jet magazine reports President-elect Richard Nixon invited 12 prominent Afro-Americans to his New York City apartment for a conference. The purpose, to assure them that he is not a racist. Says Jet, the rejection rate of the invitations was so high that aides canceled the function. Defeated presidential candidate Dick Gregory announced that he would set up a little black house in Washington as president in exile. How does that grab you? In New York politics, Congresswoman-elect Mrs. Shirley Chisholm rode to victory with the slogan, "Unbought and Unsold." She defeated James Farmer, former National Director of CORE in the newly created 12th Congressional District in Brooklyn. Congresswoman Chisholm will be joined by 2 other freshman congressmen in the House, Louis Stokes, brother of the Cleveland mayor, and William Clay of St. Louis. This brings to 9 the total number of Afro-Americans in the House of Representatives. And from Washington, the Supreme Court announced that the court would examine the complaint of Congressman Adam Clayton Powell that the House of Representatives unconstitutionally deprived him of his seat in the 90th Congress. There are indications that the new Congress will seat Dr. Powell after it convenes next year. Whether or not he will retain his seniority is still a matter of debate. And now for an analysis of the elections as they affect the black community, here is Lincoln Lynch, an executive vice president of the New York Urban Coalition.
There are some who say, as far as black people are concerned, if you've seen one president, you've seen them all. I share that view. I do not think that the election of Mr. Humphrey would have meant as much as it was hoped to black people and other minorities. There's no question in anyone's mind that President-elect Nixon did not receive a mandate from the American people. In terms of black and Spanish-speaking Americans, certainly here in the East, his candidacy was rejected. Nevertheless, come January 20th, Mr. Nixon and his new administration will occupy the seats of power and will continue to do so for the next 4 years. Much has been said of Mr. Nixon's support of black capitalism, of his rapport with the business community, of his lack of credibility with the minority community. It would appear to me that if the President-elect's intent of unifying the country is sincere, If his desire to attract minority people to his banner is genuine, then it is incumbent upon him to develop such programs as will ensure that a larger share of the gross national product is used to develop black businesses, certainly along the cooperative lines, what we call horizontal development. That he will develop and continue manpower programs, health programs, special aid to education, and housing programs to alleviate the abysmal squalor in which poor black people and poor Puerto Ricans live in our central cities. Failure to do this would make a hollow mockery of his expressed intent and certainly set the stage for more intense urban rebellion with all the tragic ramifications, both domestic and foreign.
The black community, with its new sense of revolutionary pride, has increasingly come into conflict with police establishment. Significant elements of the black community view the police as agents of the white power structure who seek to maintain order at the expense of justice. As more efforts are made to recruit blacks for local police forces across the country, black communities are more and more turning their attention to the black cop. Now Black Journal asks, who is the black cop and where is he at?
And all of this basically is an education for me because I'm with life, I'm very close to life. I'm seeing all phases of life being performed. I see birth and I see death. And I think performing in that sort of a function, I'm fulfilling my own life and being of a service to the community. I feel my job is to protect property and life and property, right? But I'm not going to put myself in the position of the judge, the jury, and the executioner, you understand? If I shoot that fellow for stealing a TV or a case of beer, why should I shoot him? When he goes to trial in court, the judge, the maximum sentence he'll get is about 2 years. So why should I shoot a kid? I'm executing him at the same time. I'm just as loyal as any other cop. I feel them feeling for my loyalty. It's hard to explain, but it's like having a monkey on your back. A white officer feels
my keys, man. You give my keys, man. Where's he at? You give my keys, man. I don't give a damn about nothing. Give my keys, man. Give my keys about what? Give my keys about what? Because about what? Don't hurt, don't let me hurt you. I ain't hurt you, man. Don't get excited, buddy. Just be cool. I want my keys. I want my keys. Let's square this away, all right? Let's talk like a man. Man. Control yourself. Grown man, control yourself. I don't give about a grown man, nothing. You took my keys, right? Get out of my... That's all. Let's talk it over. Be cool. Be cool. All right, relax.
We're being used like tools for the system of black cop today, which I think is unfortunate. There's a lot about the system that should be changed, a lot of changes that should be made. And unfortunately, I'm not in a position to make these changes. If I can help in any way to change the system, I'll help as much as I can. Black power? It's a difficult position to put yourself in, really. All these organizations, I feel, help our people in some way. Anything that can help our people, it's beautiful to me, really. As long as you don't overdo it. When I say overdo it, I mean exaggerate the point one day and run away the next day. You want me to elaborate on that?
Yeah, give me that.
We have a few militants out there in the street who are hopping and barking about what should happen, how many changes should be taking place. And as soon as their point is made, as soon as a little money is put in their pocket, they'll make it the next day. You won't see them again for a while. Then they'll come back next week and try to make money another way. Extortionists, I call them.
Black man as a policeman, he's out of the category of being black any longer, because just the mere thing of him being a policeman shows that he's turned against blackness, because to be a policeman, he has to think like a policeman, and the originating of police was the white man, in this country anyway. So therefore, he has to think like the white man, he has to act like the white man, he has to treat you like the white man treats you. So if you're riding down the street and they both stop you, he's going to treat you worse than the white man does to prove to him that he is qualified to be a police with him. So therefore, he's nothing but Uncle Tom.
I don't feel completely together inside, because I know I'm caught in the middle. I think the thing to do is to keep trying to find a way out. And not until I find that way out will I actually be comfortable with myself.
Deputy Inspector Arthur C. Hill, commander of the 28th Precinct in Harlem and one of the highest-ranking black men on the New York force, discusses the black officer's dilemma.
I would suspect that most black officers, as I do, wear two hats. And I would suspect strongly that officers have a problem in identifying which self to surface. And I personally, this is just an opinion, I see, unless conditions change, black officers, or at least black administrators in police agencies, having definite problems, psychological problems. Much of the community views him as a representative of the establishment that they consider responsible for their plight. And in many ways, they see him as some kind of Judas. Many black officers are very sensitive to the needs and the problems of the black communities. This is one of the reasons that we're so much in demand of black officers. This is why we're trying to gear some of our recruitment to black communities to increase these. Of necessity, a black man can empathize and understand black problems better, I believe. I've met some white officers that, because of their socialization process, do really dig black people, do understand the problem, and do relate very positively. I've seen some, right in this command. So I would not eliminate anyone from serving a black community based on skin color, per se. No, I'm not at that position. I do think that by and large, generally black officers can understand the mores and the folkways and the values of black people to a greater extent than white people that came from a foreign environment, so to speak, like suburbia.
We asked Deputy Inspector Hill whether civilians should be in control of the police.
I would suspect that, as was brought out in the paper, the white cops felt that civilians didn't have the sophistication or expertise to evaluate police conduct. This is just the reason why I think I favor it. I believe in civilian control of military and police institutions. I think we tread on dangerous ground when the civilian can't control these organizations.
In Los Angeles, 4% of the police force is black, while 14% of the population is black. Elements of the black community consider the black cop to be even more repressive than his white counterpart.
Their motto is to protect and serve, but they don't protect the black cats off in the ghetto. They more or less harass them.
Don't ask me if a black cop should shoot looters. A policeman is a policeman no matter the color. Now, whether policemen should shoot looters is the question.
To be a policeman, it takes a certain kind of person. And my own personal opinion is that they usually are brutal. They like the instant authority that comes with the badge and the uniform.
Harrison Bailey is one of 200 black policemen on the Los Angeles force. A veteran of 20 years, Officer Bailey prepares for night patrol in the Wilshire section of Los Angeles.
I prefer as being a working policeman in the street. Between the two of us, my partner and I, we have almost 40 years of experience. I think in my original training, I go back to the concept of the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. If the law was enforced to the letter of the law in every instance, then sometimes justice wouldn't prevail.
Street ball going in with it. It's going to fight. Thank you.
Some individuals are going to be, so to speak, a little drunk with power. I have seen it. I don't feel that way because over a period of years, I've gotten to the place where I don't have that personal feeling, or I don't become emotionally involved in a situation whereby it's a direct affront towards me as an individual. I've been called an Uncle Tom more than once. A model respect that all policemen have, be black or white, has gone down over a period of years due to the way the laws have been changed around and the way the courts have handled the situation.
Well, I've had experiences with black cops that came down in a worse manner than the white ones have. More brutal. I don't know. It's just an ego thing with them.
Anytime a man can deprive another person of his liberty, he's not going to like you. I mean, there's no way in the world that you're going to get people to actually love a policeman.
He's not going into the white neighborhoods, stopping these people from doing things. He's coming around us. He can mingle with us because he's black, and then he takes advantage of us in so many different ways. You know, like, for instance, okay, we get stopped. Instead of normally, you know, get pulled over to the side and say, okay, give me an operator's license or something like this, you know. You don't get this kind of treatment. You get knocked up against the car or something of this nature. It's really brutality.
Seem to take the attitude that just because they are black, the law doesn't apply to them equally as well as somebody else. And I think this is where part of the problem lies. They want to be exempt from the law because I am of color and I am a policeman, so they feel that I should allow them to go and take somebody else. But I don't feel that way about it at all.
Lieutenant Edward C. Henry, highest-ranking Negro on the Los Angeles force.
I think it's very important the manner in which the officer conducts himself. If he conducts himself in a manner in which will invite to respect of the community, then he will get it. But if he doesn't, then he will receive the disfavor of the community, and they will not respect him. And he is the officer who is accused of being the Uncle Tom and being a traitor to the black community. I think if the black policeman would identify his role as a policeman as opposed to his role as a Negro, then this dilemma would be somewhat lessened or even completely eliminated.
The black cop is the man in the middle. He seeks acceptance in the police community, which reflects the white society and the status quo. On the other hand, he's a black man from a black community, which is demanding change, a community which continues to ask him, which side is he on?
I'm happy to have with me on Black Journal 5 young people from around the United States. They're very much concerned about the situation in our public schools. And on my left is
Glenn Grayson. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm a senior at English High School and a member of the Black Students Union.
Sharon Harris from Hyde County, North Carolina. I am a junior at OAP High School and I'm with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
Christopher Williams. I'm from New York City. I'm a sophomore at Brooklyn Technical High School and I belong to Bedford-Stuyvesant Sports Unlimited.
Anna Pujols, senior at Columbus High School and an active student in the Student Council.
Victor Adams, president of the Chicago branch of the New Breed, member of the LPPAC, a branch of the Education Committee.
teachers have just come off a strike here in New York City. Chicago, the school system has boycotts on Mondays. We've had a lot of talk about we want black history taught in the schools. We want black teachers to teach it. You don't like the curriculum. Is that rhetoric, or have you got something to say about this system? Is the systems good, or are the systems bad?
No, it's more than the curriculum, because in Boston they have police in the school, chains on the doors, the lunch stinks. I wouldn't even feed it to a dog. And you can't go to school under these conditions. It's like a prison. So it's more than just the curriculum.
It's also the administration. If you go to a school up in a white community, it involves the student body there also. It's the whole thing where you have a middle-class white controlling a black or a Puerto Rican student body.
Here in New York City, they have more or less the school curriculum is imposed on the student. The community has no say in the proposal, and now we're fighting for decentralization so that we will have a say in our school system and have a say in what we want to learn.
Also, if those adults are white, how can they teach a ghetto child who comes from a house with roaches and rats running all around the place? How can I communicate? How can a white teacher communicate with me? He hasn't gone through what I've gone through.
Well, maybe he has. Maybe he came from Appalachia or someplace. Maybe he came. There are whites who are poor in this country.
Not realistically, no.
Maybe he came from Appalachia or something like that. But what I'm saying is he didn't come from the community. Like, say you got in one apartment building's hallway, and there it's a bathtub full of garbage, right? He has never seen this. He has never been in this building. All he has seen was outside this building. Seen outside this building was dirty. And he looks on this building as shame, and he feels sorry for the students, and so he brushes the work off and with pity and sorrow. He shouldn't feel sorry for us, because if anybody's going to feel sorry for us, it's going to be ourselves.
Or do you think that the colleges that teach teachers are teaching the wrong methods to teach you in high school? In other words, a middle-class background college, middle-class background teachers coming into our slum areas and trying to teach us middle-class values. Are you rejecting those middle-class values?
Well, let's look at it from this standpoint of view. Everything that we have comes from the system. The teachers teach in a system. We learn systematically. We are all involved in the system, believe it or not. Now, for example, most of the teachers that teach in the black ghetto communities come from a Leave It to Beaver neighborhood with an Ozzie and Harriet surroundings. And let's face it, we don't have that in the black community. And then they try to elevate us to the level whereby we can sort of comprehend what it's like to live in a white community. And what black youth in Chicago are saying, we don't want that white community. We don't want to move next door to you. We don't want to be trained for that type of social setup. We want an education that is relevant to black students, and we want it now.
Didn't you have a confrontation with the school board in Chicago, Sakaya?
Yes, I did.
Well, now, when you had that confrontation, you went downtown. What did you tell them? What were your demands?
Well, we told them that we wanted community control of school, and that unless they gave us community control of school, there would be no school in the black community.
How about here in New York? You have a crisis here also, Chris, concerning the Ocean Hill-Bronzeville situation. Now, the school problem, it seems, at least as far as the strike is concerned, that's over, supposedly. Now, the unionists are going back, but didn't that school put the unionists out? Isn't that a controversial subject still in that area?
Well, they didn't exactly put the union out. They put the teachers that walked out on them and crippled their school system during last spring for a while. Like this strike has crippled our school system. Now, I think that they have every right to oust these teachers because of what they did to them. They took and walked out and left this black community unable to function. They had to close the schools, and these children went without education. So I think they have every right.
And I think that white America should get hip to this. There's no reason why our black and Puerto Rican kids, children in our communities, have to be reading at a 3- and a 2-point level when they should be reading 7 and 6. Because 7 and 6 is read in a white community. Now, why is it so? We have white teachers teaching our black and Puerto Rican kids. Maybe these white teachers cannot teach our black Puerto Rican kids. They don't know how to communicate. They come in here teaching us how to read about Dick and Alice and Jane and a dog named Spotty. That doesn't exist in our community.
How about the groups in the country right now? Black Puerto Ricans, black Americans are looking at a curriculum. Let's say there are number 30 million or so, and you learn German, Spanish, French. Are you for having African languages in black schools so you can communicate with your black brothers and other languages, communicate around the world? Are you for that or against that?
I'm for it, definitely for it, because if we live in a black community where our ancestors did come from Africa, then we should be able to learn languages that do persist to Africa, because none of our ancestors came from Europe. So why should we learn a language that is in Europe, that they do use in Europe? It has no function in the black community.
Well, how about this integration thing? Now, I know in the South we have a problem. They're talking about integration. How about you, good sister? You're from North Carolina. Now, you have, you're from a county where you have 3 schools, and you have a school on each side of the county, a white school in the center. Now, do you want to go to the white school, or you want them to come to your school, then you control your school? How do you look at that?
Well, we want them to come to our school so the black teachers will have a job to teach in a black school.
How about SCLC and other groups that you work with? Are they looking at this problem in North Carolina?
Yes, SCLC is the one that's down there, and they are really helping the black people to tell these white people that they're not going to come over to their side. They want the white to come over to the black side. And they're down there and they're trying to, you know, get us together and, you know, so we can have soul power so we can really stick together and carry this bag out.
Well, one final thing. We were talking about some of the upheaval in schools. You have the problem of history. Are you looking at African-American history, black history, or history and culture of black people? And if you are, should it be taught in school, or should you be given release time to go outside the school and learn it?
I feel it should be the history and culture of black people, and it should be taught in the school, since this is what the school is supposedly set up for, but which isn't happening in the schools.
Well, my personal opinion is that you cannot, under the present system, teach anything relating to black history and black culture in the present school setup. The fact is that we have found out in Chicago that Whitey will not let any sort of organization or any a community-ran organization function within what he calls his school building unless he is there to co-opt it. So what we're saying is that in Chicago, that if we don't control our schools, then we will take the black students away from those schools and educate them in blackness and not program them in whiteness as they're doing now in our present schools.
Well, now, you young people are pushing the adults. Do you think the adults are going to give you the proper support that you'll need to further for your goals to achieve the demands that you've made?
Well, push means to be behind and you know, use force to push forward. We in Chicago are no longer hung up about pushing our parents. We're moving. The fact is that we know the old Uncle Tomism ways or their Uncle Tomism ways have co-opted the young people for too long. So now we're moving, and we hope by the time we reach our goal, they will have seen the importance of the student movement now. But as it stands, we're moving and letting them know step by step, we're leaving a trail for them to follow.
Well, just one final thing. I think we're going to have to cut off here, and I'm sorry it's so short, but do any of you feel that do you think the school systems are adequately preparing black people to be black people?
No, not until black
Frankly,
people
hell
control
no.
No.
Well, we've just
Definitely
talked with a
not.
group of young people, 5 of them from various parts of the country here on Black Journal, and I hope that we can get them back again to continue this discussion. We've talked a lot about the African-American history. We have with us today painter Earl Sweeting and historian Dr. John Henry Clark. We'll be talking with them shortly, but first, let's look at some of the scenes depicting ancient African history as viewed by Mr. Sweeting.
Each painting of artist Earl Sweeting reveals a moment in Africa's rich and varied history. Shoes, first created by the ancient Egyptians. The first alphabet came from the Egyptians, who devised phonetic signs representing syllables. This development was the major turning point in human history. From Egypt, the alphabet went to Phoenicia, then to Greece, then to Rome, then to Britain. The origin of paper in ancient Egypt. Here, King Khufu listens to a kneeling chemist explain the discovery of the paper-making process. Before this time, writing was done on heavy slate. The world's first library was created in Africa. The Egyptians were the first people to collect and codify the literature of their nation. Born 103 years before Christ of a Roman slave on the estate of the Roman orator Cicero, Tyro the African became his secretary and created the art of shorthand writing. The Egyptians invented a mathematics called geometry. It was the basis of the science of engineering, which was also developed in Egypt. Using geometry, the Egyptians were able to build their pyramids, survey land, and construct temples and public buildings. From Egypt, geometry later passed on to Greece. The early Egyptians possessed knowledge of the use of metallic oxides and acids, as evidence from the type of dyes applied to their glass and porcelain. Here, a chemist works in the ancient empire of Ghana. It was in Africa that the science of chemistry was created. Medicine as practiced in ancient Ghana. Imhotep of ancient Egypt was the real father of medicine. He lived about 2300 BC. Greece and Rome's basic knowledge of medicine came from his work. Nefertiti, wife of a heretic king of ancient Egypt. 1300 years before Christ, her husband Akhenaten preached the doctrine of one all-loving, all-powerful God. These are our ancestors, brought to life for us on the canvases of Earl Sweeting. Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt. Aesop, lecturing to the Greeks. From his fables come such axioms as necessity is the mother of invention. In union, there is strength. Septimus Severus, Emperor of Rome, a Romanized African who took the imperial throne in 196 AD. Kanaise, King of Ghana, watches 10,000 of his subjects at a palace banquet. A scene from the Empire of Ghana, founded in 300 AD, a civilized kingdom extending from the Niger Basin to the Atlantic coast and north to the Sahara. The city of Ghana, capital of the empire, consisted of 2 townships. Here, scholars, professors, theologians, priests held office and administered the affairs of state. Arabic letters were used throughout the empire to record the language. The University of Sankore in Timbuktu, a center of learning which existed long before colleges were founded in Europe. Trade in books was the city's major item of commerce. Africans voyaged across the Atlantic 500 years before Christopher Columbus. Blacks from the Mali and Songhai empires crossed the Atlantic to carry on trade with the Indians of the Western Hemisphere. Even today in West Africa can be found the decorative clothing, headdresses, and hairstyles so typical of the American Indian.
Those pictures we just looked at on film came from this book, African History, and the pictures inside are all paintings of the good brother on my right, who's with us on Black Journal this afternoon, is Brother Earl Sweeting, and the foreword was written by Dr. John Clark, who's on my left. I happened to notice that last picture, Brother Sweeting, that was of red men and black men, and it looked like it said something about a seafaring group of Africans who had come across the Atlantic and had discovered America prior to Christopher Columbus. Now, it seems like it's kind of contrary to the history books I've been reading for so long in my young life.
Yes, it is. I suppose it's one of those things where there's been hidden history. That's the history that we don't hear about. They came here to America 500 years before Columbus. And that's just the thing today that we're doing a tremendous lot of research on, and we have done a tremendous lot of research on, the records written by renowned scholars on the subject.
Well, when you painted these paintings in your book, African History, and I noticed you had the paintings, who did the writing? Is this documentation from other historians?
It's more or less documentations, yes, more or less documentation from other historians.
Well, Dr. Clark, we were talking earlier, remember, and we were saying about, we see in our history books, Columbus discovered America. I was telling you he found America, and now we have something else Earl Sweeting is putting to us, that black man was here with the red man.
Not only Columbus did not discover America, he discovered some of the discoverers, and someone might have predated them. Now, this situation is not particularly new. Professor Leo Wiener in 1921 wrote a 3-volume work on it called African, the Discovery of America, which proved that the African was in America before the Indians. And young Afro-American historian Harold Lawrence has written a book called African Explorers to the New World, which proved that there were African civilizations in South America and India, and the Olmec civilizations in Mexico and South America are distinctly African. The massive heads that you see are distinctly Africans. No other people ever sculptured like the Africans.
Well, we also know, too, Dr. Clark, that there was a black man on the ship when Columbus found America. Isn't this true?
Alonzo Nino was on one of Columbus's ships, and yet this only represented one aspect of the role of the African in the exploration of the New World. There were not only black men with Columbus, there was a black man with Cortez in Mexico, who introduced wheat farming in the Western world. There was a black man with Magellan, there's a black man with Ponce de Leon in the search for the Fountain of Youth. In fact, black men were in America as freebooters and sailors and explorers 100 years before the formal start of the slave trade.
How about the fact of black awareness today with your art, with your history? How does that affect black people all over? How does this black awareness, how is it getting to us? What effect does it have?
It's black awareness because what we're doing, we're trying to make something beautiful that certain other people said is ugly. But I think eventually, once we understand, once the things soak in, we are the people who will make color irrelevant.
I think at this point we were going to leave on note of blackness. My two guests on Black Journal have been Brother Earl Sweeting, who is the artist for African History, a booklet, and forward and also historian Dr. John Clark. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Now to William Greaves and Press News.
Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia has its first black daily newspaper, the Washington Daily Sun. Its publisher is 35-year-old Eugene M. Gardner. Says Mr. Gardner, we're aiming for a circulation of 100,000. And in New York, a new weekly newspaper hit the streets recently. It is the Manhattan Tribune, published by CORE's National Director Roy Innes and William F. Haddad, former prize-winning reporter for the New York Post and Herald Tribune. In a statement of purpose, the Tribune asserts it will provide a much-needed forum for the black and Puerto Rican communities of the city. It will also serve as a training ground for minority group reporters. The Chicago Daily Defender says a black farmers cooperative in Alabama, founded by the late Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., has filed suit in federal court. The suit seeks to end, quote, the harassment and intimidation, end quote, by Governor Albert Brewer and other state officials. The group, the Southwest Alabama Farmers Cooperative Association, is asking the federal court to lift a state court order. The order is blocking the cooperative's use of more than $1.5 million in federal aid. The Cleveland Herald-Dispatch in bold headline says that a strange combination of dissident cops, right-wingers, and white racists are demanding the recall of Mayor Stokes of Cleveland. Stokes' reorganization of the police department is reportedly the reason for the impeachment effort. And now, here's Lou House.
During the civil rights days, the black church provided much of the base around which groups like CORE and SNCC organized their programs. Even before that, the church played many roles, ranging from aiding slavery resistance to providing both material and spiritual service to its members. But now activists are putting down the ministers, saying that not only are they not helping the liberation movement, they're slowing it up. The criticism has caused some black churches and churchmen to take a look at themselves, but has caused others to merely update their vocabulary with black power phrases. Earlier this month, over 700 churchmen from all denominations gathered in St. Louis, Missouri, at the Gateway Hotel to discuss the question of the church's part in the black liberation movement. Keynote speaker Vincent Harding of Spelman College summed it up this way.
A time when we cannot afford the luxury of jibing each other. I wonder if we know and if we're ready to deal with and face the fact that there are a lot of black folks who can't believe that there is a Lord, and certainly not a precious one. Because they say if he is, then why are our hands so tired and empty and bloody and cold? What kind of precious Lord is this? There is a significant stream of thought in the black community which suggests that it is totally anachronistic, totally contradictory to have black churchmen. But there are lots of people in the black community who just can't believe that the two go together, that you can be black and have anything to do with church. That is not Negro or colored, you see, but black, ideologically speaking.
One of the most controversial ministers at the conference was Reverend Albert Klieg, Jr., pastor of the Shrine of the Black Madonna Church in Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, I'm a Christian black nationalist. I believe in black power, and I believe in black nationalism, and I'm also Christian, so, you know, you put them all together. The type of Christianity that I preach, which is essentially a reinterpretation of the Old Testament, reinterpretation of the first three Gospels, which is based on the basic historic fact that Israel was a black nation fighting for freedom, and that Jesus was a black militant revolutionary leader. That kind of Christianity is compatible with black nationalism and black power. But essentially, we've got to make a people. That's why I think the church is so important. We're not a people. We're fragmented. We're divided. We got all kind of different ideas. Each black person is trying to get something for himself. He's trying to make the white man think he's a good one, so the white man will do something for him. Now, as long as we're fragmented in that fashion, where we're not a people working together, trying to do something together, we can't get any kind of power. So essentially, we've got to come together as a people, and then as a people, we try to do the things that have to be done.
The ministers were briefed by economic experts on ways in which the church could catch up with the black revolution.
We in America are like black people in a capitalistic nation without any capital. We got to get this capital if we're going to own the institutions to run our own nation. And the church can play a critical role here. Another place the church can play a critical role, there are lots of people in our community who will go outside and buy elsewhere, leaking off purchasing power. We have to use our pulpits as a fulcrum for educating people about the services that brothers can perform. And we ought to realize that some of our businessmen, by operating in our own communities, pay a racial tax, you know, by being black, right. You know, so that we ought not to feel offended if we have to pay just a little bit more, because if we patronize our own institutions, they'll grow larger and they'll develop the same economies of scale, as some of the larger white business establishments.
Let me add that there's a lot of basic humanity involved in ownership and management of fairly large-scale business operations. What's being built is confidence and know-how, and these are essential qualities to an individual's personal strength.
I'd like to just make one comment on that. I think we ought to realize this, that when we talk about human values, I think we're going to have to specify it more. One, we are powerless people. And the economic development program that we're involved on is centered toward getting us some power. Now, the common denominator for that is control of wealth.
The church can play a significant role in building the pride, in setting up the organizational structures that are necessary to control the black ghetto, in formulating programs and putting money into these programs. The church can play a significant role in doing all of them. But if the church doesn't play a significant role, the revolution is going on. The revolution is not going to stop. Brothers and sisters in the street are not going to wait to see whether the church plays a significant role or not. The revolution is going on. The church can either step in and guide and lead and help, or the church can die.
A racial slur by a waitress in the hotel dining room caused the ministers to caucus for over 4 hours to determine a course of action. The result was a traditional sit-in in the hotel lobby, the kind that made Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. famous as an apostle of nonviolence. But Martin Luther King is dead, and many say nonviolence died with him. Indeed, the whole question of church leadership in the liberation struggle has been openly challenged by many, particularly the activists. We spoke to one of these activist groups, the St. Louis Black Liberators, a community self-defense group. During the month before the conference, they've had several confrontations with the police. The Liberators' views of the churchmen were given by their leader, Charles Cone.
If they begin to come out in the streets, if they begin to become involved in doing things for the movement, then it would be revolutionary. But if they just stay back and talk about it in the pulpits and don't do a damn thing further, then they're not revolutionary. Now, like the ministers who were here at this conference, we have not been contacted. And, we were just beaten almost to death last month in the 9th District Station. Not a minister, black minister who has been here has contacted us concerning this. Now, if they're going to do a revolutionary thing, as you mentioned, they were talking about the revolution, they would be down here. They would talk with this group and with other groups who are revolutionary groups prior to leaving and have some type of general understanding what they're going to do from their pulpits and how we can work together in terms of keeping the man from bamping down on us. I think that what they did here was a good thing. I think what they've said about revolution is a good thing. Now it's left up to us to make sure that they live up to these things and make them go beyond just talk. Make them get down to the real thing. Make them begin to do.
It is the cultural art of a people. And wherever you find the cultural arts, you find meaning, depth of tradition and legend. And so is the dance in Africa. Every movement, every gesture has meaning. Every dance is for a specific purpose. And it wasn't something separated from the society. People didn't just go off and dance. They danced for a reason. They danced at birth. They danced at the engagement. They danced at a wedding. They danced at the death. The dance in the Western world grew up under different social conditions altogether. And whereas the dance in Africa is part of their society, here the dance was in spite of the society.
Mr. Board emphasizes this relationship when he teaches his students at the Rebecca Harkness School of Dance in New York City.
We are going to interchange the old African ritual with the modern jazz of the black man today. Let's try the ritual, but with the right. Taking it here with the arms open, let the chest work, right? And it's step, cross, step, step, cross, step, step, cross, step. Now let's go, we are coming to the jazz. Interchange it now with the jazz. And now let the arms go and the body.
As African dance migrated to other parts of the world, it evolved into new forms.
Well, we have an excellent example in the calypso dance, as they say, quote unquote, because actually the calypso is a song and it's music, the calypso music. But the dancing is a dance done at the carnival time to calypso music. And in this dance, you can see how the black man has used his body to have a social protest. In the West Indies, they kept the drum. This is a part of a ritual on the drums. You've heard of Shango, Voodoo, Rada, Macumba rites in Brazil. These are religions that persisted in the Western world in spite of persecution. And when they danced, they moved with their bodies pushing forward, their chests held high, their head held high. And many casual observer would think, well, oh, it was just a rhythm going through his body. Yes, but together with that was the defiance that he projected. It was actually a dance of social protest. They were protesting the things that went on in his society. And you find that the black people usually take the lead in this, take the Lindy Hop, the rock and roll. All these are variations upon the same theme. And so when he dances his boogaloo and his jazz, he is telling somebody something, and they better listen.
Elio Pomare, a new breed of choreographer, represents the new black approach to dance. His concert pieces are based on our varied experiences in the city.
There's definitely a relationship between the social dances and dances which I have choreographed for the stage. I feel that if we use social themes, that the movement comes out of themes. What is happening to people, their actions and their reaction causes them to move in specific ways. And I have found audience response in majority black audience very beautiful because they see something happening on the stage which is a part of their life. It's a type of togetherness that happens. And this creates an awareness of oneself.
Using modern dance form, Mr. Pomare and dancer Diana Ramos continue the African tradition of conveying messages through the dance, which tell of our view of the world.
They tell me that I was born somewhere. God help the place where I was nursed on textured brown breast, struggled and crawled, clung to mama, the daughter of a black woman whose name was Slave. God help the place where that slave woman was abused, where she watched her children taken away to be sold on an auction block by the hate lovers to other haters and burners of innocent flesh. They told me that I was born somewhere. I don't remember where. Alabama, New Orleans, Georgia. God help the place where naked black bellies pulsated, covered in swamp darkness and ecstasy, near the edge of some southern town where black bodies hung from the green limbs of trees. They tell me that I was born. They ask who I am and where I am going. I am laughter. I am half smiles. I am stifled screams. I am a country girl who lives in the city. I am a woman who moved from the plantation to the ghetto. I am the daughter of 400 years of black tears. Be careful.
That was beautiful, wasn't it, brothers and sisters? I really dug that. Incidentally, that poem was written by Mr. Pomare. It's from his work, Beginsville. And that's it for Black Journal for this evening, brothers and sisters. I'll return with William Greaves on the 30th of next month. Remember, next Black Journal will be broadcast December 30th. Juan Gay Segay, and excuse the shades.
This is NET, the Public Television Network.